we live? Are we live? Hey, Pablo. All right, let's raise our glass, shall we? Raise our glass. A little bit early. Oh, you trying to go outside? All right. Okay. Good boy, Pablo. Oh man, Mark, what's going on? You got Sheldon in the house, right on. We know Mark's from Philadelphia, and I think Jersey. Where you calling in from, Sheldon? Right on, man. Just got back from a Brazilian steakhouse. My oldest, her boyfriend, my wife, and I went to eat some Brazilian steakhouse here in Alpharetta. Friggin', oh, love it. I tell you, every time, right on, man. Kirk's from Portland, Oregon. Sheldon's from New Jersey, right on. Mark's from New Jersey too. Every time I eat these places, I said, man, I'm so grateful to be American. That's just a fact, because what 3/4 of the population is freaking dying of starvation, basically, not literally, but you're starving, and here we are just eating to our heart's content, and not just be grateful. It's insane to me, man. Hey, what's up, prayer? Hey, Mark, man. Mark's in Montana, right on. Hey, Mark, or he might be in the Philippines. Arkansas, we got Wisconsin, Dana. Hey, Dana from Maine, right on. Mark says cousin lives in Alpharetta, right on, right on. Anyway, it's just sitting there thinking, some clown said, too much poverty in America. So there's no poverty in America, man. We got Michigan in the house, right on, right on. San Antonio, right on, man. Retired USA, all right. James in Florida, right on. Pablo, would you make up your mind? Pablo's in the house. New York, North Carolina, another North Carolina. Denise is in the house in North Carolina, right on, right on. Hey, Saratoga Springs, New York. Right on, man. I've been up there. It's a beautiful part of the country. That's for doggone sure. Anyways, I said, man, you got freaking 3 hots and a cot in the United States. You're not poor. I don't care what anybody says. You're freaking, no one just dies of starvation in the U.S. That's what they Kentucky, Kenny, right on, man. Kevin, Iowa, soon to be in Florida. Cool. Now I got nothing on the J. I got Westchester, New York. All right. So whatever you guys want to talk about, man, you drive the ship and we'll go take it from there. I got nothing necessarily to talk about. So if you guys Texas, soon to be Texas, right on. All right, gotcha. Raise your glass. A coworker who's Ethiopian just came back from visiting. He says we don't know how good we have here. 100%, Mark. It freaking pisses me off, actually. Yeah. So, can we say it perfectly? Yeah. I'm drawing a blank, brother. It's Eric. Is your Eric? I'm drawing a blank. My Packer friend Eric, right? Ew, I can't believe I'm drawing a blank. Oh, hold on a second. You gotta tell me your name. I forgot. I can't believe I'm Finney or Pablo. There we go. And I want did Eric right on. That's what I thought. Okay, phew. I was like, dude, what's my man's name? Did Mark, did your Ethiopian friend tell you about the wars that the fights that are happening there, that we're not sending 40 billion? Say a quick prayer for Eric's aunt, his aunt Zelon from Hawaii, who passed away yesterday. Dear Heavenly Father, we just pray for Aunt Zelon, her surviving family, Eric, his kids. We just pray that you grant her your mercy, that you can be with her for eternity. We pray that the gates of heaven are opened by the words we all want to hear. Well done, good and faithful servant. We just pray for Aunt Zelon. We pray for the family. We pray for Jesus in Jesus' name. Amen. Always remember, man, John Lombard. Well done, good and faithful servant is what we're trying to hear. Always remember that. And I tell you, well done, good and faithful servant doesn't mean, you're gonna be perfect. I don't know. Maybe it does. I'm not God. I don't know. I just, hard to imagine that, if we follow Jesus. But anyway, point being is, again, as Christians, we say Aunt Zelon's in a better place right now. That doesn't make anyone feel better. Be careful when you're trying to console people who've lost somebody. Don't say, "Oh, she's in a better place," because no one wants to hear that crap. Especially if no one wants to hear, "Oh, your kid from Uvalde is in a better place." No one wants to hear that crap. They just want to hear that. Actually, frankly, they don't want to hear anything. They want you to just shut up and be there for them for sure. Oh my! Check this out. Mark says they rushed into my man in Ethiopia. They rushed into his cousin's house and shot the whole family. Yeah, what the hell? But we're not. The whole thing is the whole thing is so corrupt. This is going to take a lot of you guys off. I don't think it has anything to do with Republicans and Democrats. I'm so far beyond that. Look, I'm still going to vote for the right, the R, just because that's what I'll do. But the idea that Republicans are going to change anything relative to Democrats, or Democrats going to change anything relative to Republicans, it's just not going to happen. Can they make a couple differences on the perimeter? Sure. The NRA, you know what I'm saying? But that wasn't because Republicans. That's because Pierre took the bull by the horns in 1998 and called Clinton for what he was, and the NRA members stood strong. 3 million of us back then. I don't know what it is now, but anyway, the point being is this is so far beyond Democrats and Republicans. It's evil and non-evil. That's all there is to it. And the evil is what runs the world. It's almost like the good book says the world is fallen. Crazy. Anyway, so I just, I get it. It's you still want your side to win. I get that, but I'm just, so I follow some left-wing blogs because some of these guys write pretty good stuff, which I enjoy, and just the level of certainty that their side is good and our side is bad but our side is the same way, and it's so quaint. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, the world is run by a group of people who control everything. And I mean, look, we can say that's not true. I don't care. And I don't know how many there are. Maybe there's 1,000. I have no idea. But there's nothing to do about it, other than live your best life and knowing that at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. We want to hear, well done and good and faithful servant. And these people are going to pay they're going to get paid accordingly to what they've done in this world. And that's why, just kind of going back here, and Nancy Pelosi's husband being arrested for DWI, just her time is up. Yeah, I mean, that's just all there is to it. The globalists say, Nancy, you got to go. And I guarantee she's like, no, I served you. You can't kick me out now. I guarantee. Hey, we've got Noonan Jordan. Right on, man. Jimmy Dore. There's a couple good guys on the left, man. James says, never invest based on who's in the White House. Couldn't agree more. He's in a religious war. His family's Christian, but now Muslim in power. Yeah, I mean, the problem that we have here in Christianity is that no one. I was reading this guy today. It's fantastic. He's a pretty right wing, or not right wing. I don't say orthodox, but a Christian. Because no one wants, even Christians don't want a real Christian. They don't. They want a Joel Osteen. It's not Joel Osteen, by the way. Do you know it's Joe Osteen, not Joe Olstein? Isn't that weird? Then we all come up with the idea of Joel Osteen, Olsteen. It's not Joel Osteen, it's Joe Osteen. Isn't that interesting? Anyway, so this guy's whole thing was no one wants a real Christian. They want, their version of Christianity. And I thought that was pretty interesting. All right. So what do you guys, let's see, we got any questions coming out here? Her wishes are to have her ashes scattered into the ocean. What I tell my kids and my wife, when I die, just throw me in the garden, man, and let the wormies compost me. That's all I need. Well, oh boy, we've been sold out by the people who represented us. Yeah, I just think it's, Satan controls this world. There's no other way around that. And there's nothing to do about it except live your best life. Oh boy, Joel. Oh boy, what's that? All right. My mother has a sort of dementia, so I'll be executor to her estate. Oof. Yeah, that sounds tough being an executor in Hawaii. All right, these guys are driving me up the wall. They're not making up their mind. What do you guys want from me? Just stay out. You can make up your mind. All right. So a couple things just while we're waiting. See what kind of questions we got coming in. Coffee for the win says sausage gravy biscuit. All right, whoever that is. How's the deck coming? Good. Yeah, 100%. Fantastic, Denise. Is Kim on here? I don't see Kim on here. I've only emailed her. Hey, Jill. Jill's on here. Right on. Jill, que paso. Just while I'm waiting for, see what kind of questions y'all have coming in. I want to share with you. Oh, man. What the hell was that? West Virginia. All right. Right here. This was fantastic. The green agenda is not about saving the planet, but gaining wealth and power. And this is from conservativewoman.co. conservativewoman.co.uk. And I'm going to do a video on this because a few days ago we published analysis of the true scale of the government's net zero and green agenda on inflation, the cost of living crisis. Today we're republishing the fill he made, which illustrates how misguided energy and climate policies have been contributing to the accelerated economic crisis for years. And this was, as memory serves, this on you. Let me just bring it up on YouTube here. I'll share with you who. Let me just pause real quick. One sec. Cancel that. And this was so that way, you guys, if you want to subscribe to this person's channel, you can. I think the Celtics, Kirk, 103-87 tonight. Celtics 103. Hold on a second. We got. So this climate resistance.
I'm Jim Haskell, editor of the Bridgeway.
Climate resistance. Oh wait, what the hell happened? I don't want that clown. All right. Oh, what was that? Hold on just a second. Anyway, so the YouTube channel is climate resistance. So subscribe to climate resistance if you would, because we need more people to know the talking points about the climate Nazis, because it's they're just I mean, literally it's just as simple, man. I mean, if we don't have cheap energy, we got nothing. That's all there is to it. People say, oh, it's gonna be great going back to hey, right on, man. Well, congratulations to Barry, Dana. That's fantastic. Look out, Casco Bay. All right. So Dana and his brother and Dana's much, much better half, April, Miss April, took me and Chloe out on sailing through Casco Bay. And Dana's brother, I forgot what Barry did for work, but smart guy, just retired from his crappy old job. All right. So he's going to be on Casco Bay, freaking floating around out there in the sailing the seas of cheese. That's awesome. It's funny because you're like, Dana and April, you know, just some kick-ass people out there in Portland, Maine. But you're like, April, what the hell is he seeing this guy? If that makes sense. I'm just goofing on you, Dana. I don't care what they say. You're all right by me. How about taking a 401k loan and paying yourself overtime as what is sort of dollar cost? I 100%. Man, this is a great observation. All right, this is a great. If I can find my book, right here. Right here, strategic money planning. Borrow against your 401k to increase your net worth. So this is a great move. I think it's a great move right here. Now, we'll talk about the negatives here. I should do another video on this tomorrow, actually. If you think the market is at a high, borrowing money and putting in from your 401k and putting in a side account or paying off debt, ideally, or something like that, is a wonderful solution because you're literally paying yourself back at whatever the interest rate is at that time, plus any growth they could get. So basically, you're taking the money out of the market. It's a wonderful thing to do. Now, you can say, why can't I just do that, take the money out of the market inside my 401k? You can. But the point being is you're pulling the money out, you're putting in like a brokerage account, and that way it's liquid. I think it's a great move, Dodgers fan, Rams and Dodgers fan. Why don't you got the Kings on there? Oh, he just likes the Rams because they won the Super Bowl. And he likes the Dodgers because they're good at baseball, but he doesn't have the Kings. Okay, interesting. I'm just goofing you. Anyway, so I just say, man, take it out of. And so what happens here? All right, you're taking $50,000 out of your 401k. I mean, that's the max you can do. I can't remember if they still allow to do more than that. I don't think they did. So you got $100,000 your 401k. You take $50,000 out. That's sitting in a taxable account now. That means it's completely liquid. No taxes come out. You're not double taxed. I don't understand why people think you're being double taxed. You're not, man. Well, you're putting the money back in post-tax. Yeah, because you took the money out pre-tax without paying tax on it, tax-free. I mean, you're putting the money in to repay the debt without getting a tax deduction. Everyone's like, so you're double taxed. No, you're not, because you pulled the money out. It's tax-free. when you pull that money out. So it's sitting in a brokerage account. So now you're just sitting there in cash. You got access to the money if you need it. Now the markets go down. You're buying yourself back at dollar cost averaging at cheap rates. It's I got to do another video. I think it's a good idea, Rams and Dodgers fan, 100%, man, 100%. Could you be wrong? Okay, so what happens if you're wrong? All right, literally the worst case scenario is that you get fired next week. You got to pay all that money back. If you don't, you got to pay a 10% penalty if you're under the age of 59 and a half and income taxes. That's literally the worst case scenario. Okay, and that's well worth the risk, in my opinion. If you're over 59 and a half, there's no 10% penalty. You just got to pay income tax. Okay. Or the part two of this is that you have that 50,000 out and the market continues to climb, freaking 25% a year. Like Yale Endowment said, I don't know if y'all saw the video I did yesterday about the Yale Endowment. What the hell? How come these people aren't in orange? I don't understand. How can anyone go around saying they're making 240% a year for the last 20 years? I don't get that. Anyway, yeah, what was I just saying? So now you're saying, okay, so the worst case scenario, other than being laid off and I have to pay the taxes and pay the penalty, it's just not that big of a deal, is that I miss out on that $50,000 or $10,000, whatever you took out on some, significant market gains. Okay. All right, that's a risk. I get it. No other way around that. But you can still dollar cost average back with the monies you're putting back in. If you got credit card debt or a car loan or something like that, you damn well should do that. I mean, my chapter, I forgot what chapter it was. Oh, by the way, I am finally done with my fiction. Finally. I'm never doing that again. And so I'm gonna start the work on publishing it, self-publishing on Amazon tomorrow. So this is you should borrow chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You should borrow from your 401k to pay debt. That's chapter 5 in my book, Strategic Money Planning. I'm very much looking forward to my book, my fiction piece coming out. It's been 2 years in the making. It sucks, dude. I'm just telling you right now. Every time you read, you're like, oh, I should do this. It's like, I'm just done. I'm saying I'm done. It's good. It's the best I could possibly make it. And I'm very excited by it. I'm very much looking forward to publishing it. Somewhat of a memoir. It's fictional memoir, if that makes sense. But it's called Return. Dude, would you make up your mind? Oh my goodness. What is happening? Somewhat of a memoir, some similarities to my life, but others just, making stuff up. But it's good. I'm looking for it. I've always wanted to do a couple things I tell my wife today. I always wanted to be in a band. I always wanted to play one show. I did. I always want to write a piece of fiction, and I have done it. It's not published yet. Again, self-published, but I'll put it on Amazon here the next week, hopefully. Return to Peaks Island. Give me a hard look, this guy over here. All right. This guy, Genis X. Oh, no. You got to. Okay. What are you doing, buddy? You can go out, but just make up your mind. All right. Right on. Thanks. Jim is saying he's retiring in 5 years. Should I be dumping my extra cash in the market or build up cash reserves? I mean, I don't know where you're sitting on, but I like cash. Cash is king, man. 100%. Okay. Retired in the Fed, April 30th. Awesome. Yeah, that's right. There's Denise. I now officially owe less on my house than I do my portion of the medical bills so far processed through insurance company. Countdown to mortgage freedom by Independence Day. That's freaking awesome, Denise. All right, I'm gonna have to do something here. I'm gonna put the thing up so the dogs can't keep coming back and forth. Because they're watching the game in there, and I don't want to hear all the. Oh, a second. There we go. All right. Love that dog, but my lance. All right. Chicken Charlie in the house. Which insurance company has the best variable annuities, or doesn't matter? Yeah, I don't know. I haven't paid any attention for a long, long time. Chicken. I mean, yes, it does matter. Absolutely. I just haven't paid attention for a long time. Here. I have significant cash and looking to get in. Where should I go, in your opinion? I have no opinion whatsoever. Jim, I'd build up cash if you don't have enough for your first several years. Yeah, I completely agree with Jill. Thanks for the answer. And I like the Kings too. How about buying some I-bonds? All right, for the 20,000th time, and Rams and Dodgers fans might be new here. So I'm not criticizing you. Why would you not buy I-bonds? I don't understand, man. I mean, it's only $10,000 per year. I don't get why you would not. So I get emails on this all the time still. What do you think about I-bonds? There's nothing not to think about. They're 100% the way to go. Should you mortgage your future for them? Of course not. But man, oh man, BS. Is that the that's Black Sabbath right there? Dude, who are you, BS? I don't remember seeing Black Sabbath run around here. I do miss Maine royally, 100%. 100%. Try and convince my wife to go check out Western Michigan this summer for a couple of days. Just she and I holding hands and whispering sweet nothings as we walk on the beach of the lakes. There's like sandy beaches on the lakes. I still can't believe it. I won't believe it with my eyes, but we're going to go check it out. All right. We got... we're just going to leave these open. All right. We're just leave those open. Sorry. John says just change his 401k from 15% to 100% to max out the next 4.4 paychecks. We'll then keep adding to bucket through end of year. Have you ever checked out the Village? I've never been down the Villages. I've yet to meet anyone who doesn't like them. That's a fact. I interviewed a guy, Skip. I forgot that guy's last name. When I first started my YouTube channel, like four years ago, Skip something down there. And I've yet to meet anyone who doesn't like the Villages. Everyone loves the Villages. Crazy to me. Hey, all right, we got another Mainer on here. Right on. So anyway, BS, you from Maine? Where are you from? Sticks Future. How do you invest to protect assets from creditors and lawsuits after maxing out HSA, IRA, and 401k? Well, if you own it, it's going to be subject to creditors, predators, in-laws, and outlaws. That's what we say. So if you own it, it will be subject to those things. So the only way to invest to protect it is, frankly, not to own it. And that's just a fact. But, I mean, you can always get an umbrella insurance policy. I mean, hey, buddy, there's my other dog. Why are umbrella insurance policies so cheap? Because you're not likely to get sued. Now, I don't know what your line of work is, but umbrella insurance policy is one way to go. But don't own it. If you don't own it, you can't get it taken from you. It's just that simple. Explain Wellington versus S&P 500 index. All right, so S&P 500 index covers every single of essentially the top 500 stocks in the U.S., the largest essentially by market capitalization. Hope that makes sense. Now it's not. It changes 4 times a year. They probably add in probably 15 companies are added and removed from it, something like that. But anyway, so S&P 500. Every company, Costco is going to be the S&P. I don't know, Dominion Resources, if that's even still around. Virginia Power used to be. I don't know. I mean, you name it. Freaking Amazon, Tesla, Intel, Microsoft, Apple, all the big companies can be in the S&P 500. There are some smaller companies too, but by and large, the S&P 500, the S&P 500 is about 80 to 85% large cap, and say 15% or so mid cap. And I can't remember how they define mid cap anymore. It used to be less than 10 billion in assets. I bet that's probably changed now because now we have a company with market capitalization of over $1 trillion, which is freaking nuts. So when I was first starting out at Vanguard in the 90s, mid cap, small cap was anything less than 2 billion, mid cap was anything less than 10 billion, and anything above 10 billion was large cap or something along those lines. I bet that's not the case anymore. Anyway, so basically the largest by market capitalization of the S&P 500 of the top 500 are considered the S&P 500. Historically, that's about more 60 to 65% growth-oriented stocks and 35 to 40% value-oriented. Value means it's trading cheaply relative to its earnings. So value stocks are price-to-earnings ratios. The lower the price to earnings, the more value it means. That means the cheaper is trading from a price perspective relative to the earnings it generates or has generated. That's the issue there. Generally speaking, because the price is lower, a value stock will have a higher dividend yield, a lower price to earnings ratio, and a lower price to book ratio. All right. And the reason that's happening is because for some reason that company has a value aspect to it that people say, there's some risk there inherent, which is why the price has dropped. I hope that makes sense. So a lot of people think value is less risky. No. The reason it's value is because the price has not supported the earnings. The earnings haven't supported a price of a higher rate for whatever reason. Maybe they're thinking they got too much debt. Maybe they think there's too much labor. I don't know what it is. But value stocks, roughly 40% of the S&P 500 is value. 60% is growth. Generally speaking, growth stocks don't pay much of a dividend. They have a higher PE ratio because their price is higher, and they have a higher price to book. All right, so that's the S&P 500. Now, Wellington has basically 65% of stocks, all large company, blue chip value stocks. And when I say all, I'm sure there's some that aren't quite that, but the bulk of it can be large company, blue chip value stocks. Lower price to earnings ratio, lower price to book ratio, higher dividend yields. And the reason those three things is all because the price is lower than its comparative growth stock. It's just that simple. A value stock has been knocked around for some reason, whatever it is. It doesn't matter. It just has been knocked around. Now, generally speaking, value outperforms growth. And the reason is because it's riskier. People don't get this. They think value has less risk because it has higher dividend yield, lower PE ratio, and a lower price to book. Well, yes, if it doesn't go bankrupt, if that makes sense. What? I'm sitting right here, buddy. Pablo, I'm right here. Pablo, I'm literally right here. Buddy, I'm like literally right here, buddy. Come on. Kill me, bud. Kill me. All right. So anyway, so the S&P 500, the Wellington has about 65% in the blue chip value-oriented stocks, and the rest could be in high-quality credit bonds. All investment grade, a lot of corporate, and a lot of treasuries as well. That's a difference. So the bonds will give the bonds will give the Wellington less downside risk, other than this last quarter. It's amazing, actually. Never seen this happen before. It's nuts it's nuts how badly the bonds took it on the chin the first quarter of 2022. It's never happened. It's the first time. It's crazy. Those days are gone now. And you can see that already by just so far the second quarter, the 10-year treasury has dropped from 3.16 to 2.7. So when the yield on the 10-year treasury drops, that means the prices have gone up because it's a seesaw. As the yield increases, the price goes down. As the yield decreases, the price goes up. Which comes first, the chicken, the egg? It's always the price. All right, anyway, the point being is that the price gets lessened, the yield gets higher. As the price gets increased, the yield gets lower. So you've seen the yield drop from 3.16 just a few weeks ago to 2.7, basically 2.7. That's a 45% 45 basis point decrease in yields, which means the price went up by a comparative amount. And so the days of the bonds getting killed are pretty much done for a little bit. Now, could that happen again? Could the Fed come back storming Norman and say we're going to raise by 75 basis points? Well, apparently not, because that's what caused a massive increase on Fridays. The Fed basically said, yeah, man, we might not be as hawkish as we claim. We're going to be a little bit more dovish. And so people say, yeah, they're not going to kill us in interest rates. Anyway, so Wellington versus S&P 500. When growth stocks kick ass and take names, S&P 500 does better. When growth stocks get smoked, a la 2000, basically the last year, 2001 and 2, Wellington does better because growth stocks got smoked, and that time from basically the last 12 months, and then of course the first 3 years of the millennium. Yeah, I got no qualm with monthly paying closed-end funds, none whatsoever. New Hampshire guy, gotcha. New Hampshire. Susan Collins better not be anything like Maine, and she kind of is, Jill. I'm not going to lie to you. Kind of is. Yeah, that's what I hear, Judy. Love the Western Shores of Michigan. I can't wait. Yeah, it doesn't do anything. South Carolina doesn't do much for me, man. Greenville or bust for me. It just, I don't find it. Just doesn't do anything for me. I love people over there. It's all good. Just too busy, too humid for me. Yep, right, 100%. Easy to determine if you can retire. Know your expenses, 100%. Do I think legislation will be enacted to allow for RMDs to be delayed? I think that's already done, right? Sniffy Joe hasn't signed it yet, but I think it's already passed both houses of Congress. My understanding. It might be in committee, but I think that's an easy win for the Democrats to say they're doing something. 100%. All right. Thank you, George. Please comment on Fidelity target date funds versus Wellington when you enter retirement. Yeah, I don't follow Fidelity target date funds specifically, but just target date funds are simple. Is that they progressively get less aggressive as you move forward. All right, so you got a target date 2035 fund. You don't have to retire in 2035. It's what, 15 years out, basically. So it's probably going to have 65 to 70% stocks right now, and that'll slowly get less and less stocks, more and more bonds until you hit 2035. Then it'll probably stay, I don't know, 40% stocks, 60% bonds, or something like that. I don't know. Where Wellington's fixed. Wellington doesn't go from basically from 60 to 70% stocks and 30 to 40% bonds. Target date funds get progressively more conservative as each year passes. Right? I wish financial advisors always specify when they say someone needs blank amount of money, whether it's net or gross. Yeah, I completely agree. I always like to tell people, remember, basically 20% of your IRA is not yours because the government is going to get their share. Brian did a small 401k a year ago. Never again. That's cool. Is there a way to find out what is available on Wealthfront 60/40? Not that I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. There might be. I'm sure you can. Just got to do some research on it. All right. So we got anything on Rumble here? Let's see here. No comments. Okay. Let me just make sure I got nothing there. All right. Good. All right. So, oops. All right. Vaughn was on his boat, little pontoon boat. Right on, man. I'm a believer in quant investing. I'm either in the market or out of the market. All right. That's okay. How do you think the economy will do when the Federal Reserve starts allowing $95 billion in bonds roll off their balance sheets each and every month starting June 1, 22? Well, we have no velocity of money now. That's not going to change anything. I mean, again, all this money is just sitting in the bank vault, essentially. So just because it's rolling off their balance sheet, they're basically pulling the cash back from the banks. The banks, velocity of money, my friends. That's what matters. The banks, I mean, having all this cash in your vault, literally it's not a vault, I grant you, doesn't do crap if it's not making its way into the economy. I don't understand. I'm not picking on my man here, Sticks Future, but velocity of money. If there's no velocity, if money isn't changing hands, it doesn't create inflation. There's just none there. It's just sitting in the vault. And that's what I'm saying. The Fed can buy back all their bonds, sell back all their bonds to take the cash out of the economy. It's not in the economy to begin with. It's meaningless. This is why it's so frustrating to me. Paul Volcker to the rescue. Volcker isn't the one who freaking solved inflation. I just read this article 2 days ago about the same thing. It's like Jerome Powell doesn't have the same gusto as Paul Volcker. And this some economist, I forgot who it was. I'm sitting there thinking, what is it with these guys just love on Paul Volcker? It's the weirdest thing, man. And this is why I said, let me show you. Here, I'm going to show you something here. I'm sure I won't be able to find that, but I'm going to show you guys. Let me see if I can't find this. Hold on just a second. Oops, hold on a second. All right, we're going to find this post I made. You guys want to hear something crazy? Did you know in the Buffalo World's Fair, there's like 10,000 lights in the Buffalo World's Fair, more than New York City had. You want to hear something else crazy? When McKinley was assassinated, they took him to the operating room in a Buffalo hospital. They had no lights. No lights. Isn't that interesting? Crazy, huh? All right. Hold on just a second. All right, cool. I'm going to show you guys something here. Isn't that crazy? It's the Buffalo Great World Fair. More lights in Buffalo than in New York City. And then when McKinley got assassinated, there's no lights. All right. So I'm going to show you guys something. Tell me that's not crazy. All right here. All right. So we're going to read this guy right here. The minutes out Wednesday afternoon painted a picture of a Federal Open Market Committee, FOMC, strongly focused on inflation. with rate hikes of 50 basis points in June and July meetings. But some members also indicated that price pressures may not be getting worse. There are already signs that the U.S. economy is weakening. Of the last 19 major economic indicators, 13 have missed economists' expectations. If there are signs of a falling inflation and improved labor imbalances, the Fed gains some breathing room and can shift policy adjustments to 25 basis points over, as opposed to 50 or even 75. All right. So the Federal Open Market Committee, FOMC, strongly focused on inflation with rate hikes of 50 basis points in June and July. All right. So we already got that priced in. But but there are already signs that the U.S. economy is weakening. Thus, what they'll have you believe is that the Fed raising rates has weakened the economy. Isn't that interesting? So what I'm going to show you here is, let's take a look at this chart right here. Measles in the U.S. Look at this, from 1950 to 2007. And you can see, it's going to be tough, I grant you. But here's the cases in thousands, 500, 400, 500, then vaccine licensed. And the cases just dropped. Pretty interesting, no? So here's measles, 1950 to 1963, 62, 63, when the measles vaccine was introduced. That is proof right there that the vaccine stopped the measles infections, right? Because look at that. Look, vaccine license came off cross. I mean, it dropped like a brick in water. No different than the Fed raises interest rates and the economy slows down. It's guaranteed. It's science after all. Oh, but don't look at this. Oh, no. U.S. measles population, U.S. measles mortality rates. High mortality rates. Here's where the vaccine is introduced. So what came first? The measles vaccinations or the mortality rates being reduced? Obviously, the mortality rates are being reduced. And we know why. It's just basic, good old-fashioned washing your hands, better eating habits, washing your hands. It's just this. Literally, it comes down to nothing more than that. Better health, washing your hands, indoor plumbing, essentially. Electricity. It's amazing. So again, I just want to point out, everyone, the MMR, this isn't MMR, but still measles, the pro-vax will say, look at that. That shows you vaccines work. And I say, oh yeah, here's a vaccine to be introduced. Yeah, it was already on the way down. And it's the same thing here. So everyone says, oh my goodness, the Fed's going to raise, that's going to stifle inflation, and that's going to slow the economy down. And now we're seeing the economy is already slowing down. So obviously the Fed is causing that. No. The Fed, it's crazy, man. It's not, it has nothing to do with it. And that's why the whole thing going about this guy who's a fanboy of Volcker. I'm like, I can't believe you can't even read this. They were raising rates throughout the 70s. That did nothing with inflation. Oh, but that time was different. Well, how's it different? Because the OPEC, because Iran, because. Well, then don't freaking say it's the Fed that stopped inflation then. Yeah. It's not Snippy Joe. It's Snippy Joe. How he likes to sniff little girls. Yeah, that's the wrong answer. Sniffy Joe planning to forgive 10,000 student loans. I hope he does this. It's going to piss a lot of people off, man. Anyway, so the point being is when the Fed starts allowing these, they're going to sell back the bonds. They're taking the cash out. So that's right. So always got to remember what it is. So they're taking the cash out of the economy. It's not going to do crap because the cash isn't in the economy anyway. Let me just go back to, hold on a second. We're always going to do this. Velocity on there. Now, everyone and their mom has silly arguments to say why we're different than what I always use with Japan. They'll say, Japan has a surplus of trade, a trade surplus. It's idiotic in my opinion. The risk of sounding mean about that, I'm like, dude, you kidding me? That's your argument? So let's take a look, shall we? Now look, I do the same thing probably 2 or 3 times a year, if not more, if not a month, to just point out the absurdity of this. Here's the velocity to money. Oh, my lands. Look at that. Q1 2022. Got some vampires arguing. Here's the velocity of money going back to 1960. Look at that. So money isn't changing hands. This is what matters. That's all that matters. Velocity of money from 1997 has gone down from 2.1 to less than half. The exchange of money is nothing's going to change that. Nothing's going to change that. I'm sorry. The older population, they don't spend. debt-ridden population because of stupid houses, student loans. Everything's more expensive. A debt-ridden population. Of the younger side, the velocity of money is not changing, my friends. And as such, inflation is always and everywhere an energy construct. Here, my doggies. Inflation is always and everywhere a monetary phenomenon. Inflation is always and everywhere an energy phenomenon. All right, so let's see. Should most folks have the Roth IRA money in index funds or be more aggressive? Well, index funds and aggressiveness are not mutually exclusive. VTI, Vanguard Total Stock Market, is 100% stocks. Pretty aggressive. All right, we got this guy. Rather listen to you than just have a basketball game with super low audio. Right on, man. All right. We got Wisconsin in the house. Right on. I hope so, too. The state legislature is actually quite important now. Hopefully what we've seen after the trial run of the COVID stuff, the state legislatures will pull back some of that power from the executive in Pennsylvania and Wisconsin and Ohio and all these states. They've ceded too much of the power. That's just a fact. And hopefully they'll pull some of that back. And the governor, of course, doesn't pass laws. They just mandate, not them through them, but the Department of Public Health. It's nuts, dudes. The old moratorium thing, that wasn't a law. I mean, maybe it's a law that allowed the CDC from 1974 to do this, but it certainly wasn't modernized. That's for damn sure. And it certainly didn't say the CDC can basically give away rent for years and years and years till their heart's content. The whole thing's freaking insane, man. You got to pull this back, rein it back. The problem is Washington, D.C. congressional people, they don't want to take any risks. They'd much rather put on to a commission, put on a Department of Public Health person like Los Angeles County. Their head of Department of Public Health has got a PhD in social work, PhD in social work. Was her study on gender studies? That's who telling you got to wear a mask. It's freaking insane. I don't know. I like what I do, Michael. Michael says, what's my target retirement date? I mean, literally, my youngest is going to 9th grade, so we got at least 5 more years here, at least. And I like it here. I mean, again, I'm only 51 for heaven's sake. You know what I'm saying? But it won't be until my mortgage is paid off and I got a bunch of money sitting in cash. I'll tell you that right now. Yeah. So the Economist of hold on a sec. Wait. Let's see. Hold on just a second. Get that one. That one. Anger. All right, so we'll just start with a couple. I don't have Mises. I thought I did have it up there. Wait a second. I thought I had some Mises up here. This one had Mises up here. Maybe I don't. Oh, by the way, if you want a great book, Hitler and Stalin by my man Alan Bullock. Parallel Lives. All these people say, Hitler's so bad. Stalin was, he helped. It's the same people, Henry Hazlitt. There we go. The same guy, man. Hitler and Stalin, the same guy. Ooh, here's one I got. This is an old book. Right here. I haven't even read this yet. I love economics. I don't like this stupid econometric stuff. It's so freaking fake. As the economist, Paul Samuelson, Markowitz, and all these clowns, they want to say, we've got to make economists like a hard science like physics. And physics are saying, we got to be a hard science like math. So physicists have math envy. Economists have physics envy. So all these idiots say, we got to make economics like a hard science. And you can't. All right, I got $10 super chat. Right on. Hey, thanks, man. That's my man Rex. All right, so this, so we got a couple. This is the book I refer to a lot. One of you had sent this to me, or not sent me, but had told me about my man Richard Koo. This literally changed a lot of my perspective. I see a lot. In fact, it's interesting because I've known about mark-to-market accounting for a long, long time because of Brian Westbury over at First Trust Advisors, who one of my favorite modern contemporary economists, Brian Westbury, who talked about mark-to-market accounting. Anyway, so I was reading this. Someone had mentioned this to me by the YouTube channel. One of the best books I've ever read on economics, The Holy Grail of Macroeconomics. I was stunned how good this was. It was amazing to me. And he actually talked about mark-to-market accounting in Japan. I couldn't believe it. So that's a great, great book. Relatively modern. I think in 2012 is when he did the update of it. Let me just see if we can't find the mark-to-market accounting. What the hell was that, man? Anyway, so he's got something in here about mark-to-market accounting. I guess I won't be able to find it. Dag nabbit. I know I wrote it down. Yeah, shoot. I won't be able to find it right now. All right. Thomas Sowell. Anything Thomas Sowell does, you should get. The Economics and Politics of Race. I haven't actually read this book yet. Maybe I did. I got a bunch of Thomas Sowell books back there. You know, black rednecks, white liberals. But just Thomas Sowell freaking kicks ass. Probably one of the most important economics books you'll ever read is Carl Menger. This is the foundation of the Austrian School of Economics, Principle of Economics, Carl Menger. This guy just, I mean, it's from 1890s or something like that. Just freaking classic book right here, Principle of Economics. It's just fundamentally, you read it, you're like, oh, that makes sense. It completely makes sense. Frederick Bastiat, The Law, which is a little pamphlet, and it's running around here someplace. I don't know where it's at. Bastiat. This is probably the number one book you should all read. Henry Hazlitt's Economics in One Lesson. The shortest and surest way to understand basic economics, and it starts with the very first chapter, the broken glass theory. The broken window right there. Now, lots of economists have talked about the broken window theory and fallacy, but just a great book. Economics in One Lesson, by all means. Anyway, so I bought this book when I was at the Mises Institute in Auburn, Alabama. And I just love these old books, man. In fact, so it's Economic Policy for a Free Society. And I haven't read it yet. I got so many flipping books, man. This is from Henry Simons. And I just, I love these old books. So I'm very much looking forward to reading it. This was dated 1948. But it's tons. Actually, because I'm a donor to the Mises Institute, every quarter I get the Austrian publication of the Mises Institute. And right here we got, let's see, How Economists, Politicians, and Central Bankers Got It Wrong by Bob Murphy. And I'm a fan. Liberalism and illiberalism in the 21st Century. It's going to be good. So I'm a big fan. And then, but I have got something. I did get this pamphlet not too long ago, Problems of Modern Monetary Theory. Pretty good book. It's real easy to follow. Anyway, because all these MMT is a new quasi-socialist, quasi-Keynesian thing that people on the left say it's not left-wing. It's not. It is left-wing. It's left-wing crap to fund the Green New Deal. It's all MMT is. It's a way to get the Green New Deal funded without people having to say, oh my goodness, we're going to have so much debt. So anyway, big fan. Yeah. Legalized plunder. So remember what they said in the law was they talked about we got to stop the sun from shining because we can't compete. Candle makers can't compete with the sun shining, so it's not fair. Can't stand Dave Matthews. Any band that touts their green agenda and then flies all over the world and then dumps freaking all their. Remember that like 20 years ago they dumped on they're flying someplace they dumped all their sewage on the ground. Friggin' scumbags. The green agenda is everything you have to fight. Would you make up your mind? Everything else is secondary to the green stuff. I'm telling you right now, the green is the evil, and it's been like that from Malthus from freaking Paul Ehrlich, whatever his name is, the population bomb guy, from James Hansen, from Carl Sagan. The freaking green stuff is the pure evil, man. It's all there is to it. All right. Oh, dude, I can't stand your governor, Jill. That guy is exactly. Chill, Pablo. Yes, of course the world's going to continue to buy U.S. bonds. I mean, think about it. Where else are you going to buy? All right, so can we recognize how this works? China sells us stuff, all right? So China builds something. We buy it from them. Why? Because it's cheaper. Chinese labor are slaves. I mean, this is just a fact, my friends. This isn't really debatable. People will try to. They're wrong. Chinese labor. Oh boy. He's being a stinker tonight. So China sells us goods, which we consume. These things right here, Nike shoes, with slave labor. I was listening to a guy the other day. He says a lot of the Chinese in Nike camps or Tesla shops, what they do is they literally, it's like the old company towns. They live there 6 hours, 6 days a week, 12 hours a day. They live and they get 1 day off, and they literally live in there. They get literally 3 hots and a cot, and then it's freaking indentured servitude, 100%. Anyway, so China sells us that crap because it's cheaper, built in China with slaves. Well, why do you think this is the whole point? Why do you think the Northern industrialists were against slavery? You think it's because they cared about black people? No, they couldn't compete with slave wages, and they're rightly so. They couldn't compete, and so they said, "No, we got to make a more evil competition by having a more normal wage competition." Thanks, babe. I mean, look, and you can read. I got the book back there. Southern Reconstruction. There's lots going on. Inherently makes sense. Like, dude, we can't compete, man. Look what happened with granite. It's wonderful stories. My man Philip Leigh, Leigh, had written a book, Southern Reconstruction. It's great. I interviewed him 6 months or so ago. And we can't compete with slave labor. It's impossible. All right, so now China says, all right, we'll build you these iPhones. We're going to sell it to you. All right, so we buy the iPhones from China, all right? And then we do what? We send them money for those iPhones. What does China do with that money? Well, they can invest it someplace. Well, where are they going to invest it? They're going to invest it in our bonds. Why? Because they want the best rate of return. They want guaranteed. They don't want to lose their money. They're not going to invest in Venezuela. They're not going to invest in India. They're not going to invest in freaking maybe a little bit in the EU. But at the end of the day, they say America is still the best game in town. We want to make sure our money grows. And we want to make sure it's protected with the rules of law finance system. We can all gripe all day long about the rule of law with the Federal Reserve. I get all that. It doesn't matter. It matters that China says, yes, we're going to buy your bonds. We're going to invest in your bonds. We're literally going to take the money you send and buy your bonds. Now, the ironic thing about that is who's the biggest shareholder of our own bonds? It's the United States itself. We own the vast majority of our own bonds. I think Japan owns $9 trillion of our debt, something like that. Or maybe the whole foreign, all the debt that's outstanding, maybe all foreign governments own like $9 trillion of it or something like that. I can't remember. It's minuscule relative to the whole thing. This is where the MMT people get away with saying what they can. They say we finance our own debt. Well, it's true. There's truth to that. Point being, though, China says, okay, so we're going to sell you stuff. You're going to pay us in cash, but we're not going to use that cash you pay us to buy your bonds. We're going to use that cash to buy a Portuguese bond, the EU? Yeah, a little bit. But we are by far and away their biggest source of income. Can't look a gift horse in the mouth. Can't. So all these people say they're going to sell the debt, sell the debt. I'm like, when, where, how, why? They're going to sell the debt because GDP, the debt to GDP is over 100%. I'm like, oh. What is Japan's GDP, debt to GDP? It's 225%. How long has it been like that? For well over 15 years now. Has Japan interest rates skyrocketed? No, they have not. No, they have not. Thus, there's still demand for Japanese bonds, or else the interest rates will skyrocket, and we don't see that in Japan at all. Could that change? Sure. But don't tell me because debt to GDP is through the roof that inherently is going to lead to skyrocketing interest rates because no one's going to buy your bonds. It's freaking stupid. And I'm not saying my man retired and loving that, saying that. I think his name's Dennis. I'm just saying this is what people say. Well, Japan has what do they say? He has a trade surplus. So what does that mean? What does that mean for Japan having a trade surplus? Instead of getting cheap goods like we do to fund our consumption in America, which is a problem, I'm not going to lie to you, the consumption society we have is based on cheap goods. Japan pays more than we do. So I'd rather have a trade deficit to get cheap products than a trade surplus to get more expensive products. Doesn't make any sense. The idea that this trade surplus or trade deficit is what's going to lead to mass inflation. Not when your debt to GDP is well over 220%. Japan has been for 15 years. Ours is what, 110, 120? Whip-de flip and do. And then you can just see the counter to that. Look at countries with a low debt to GDP, 30%. What's their inflation? Oh, their inflation is through the roof. Why? Because no one wants to touch those countries with a 10-foot pole because their economies suck, man. Aye. And no one wants to lend them money. It's crazy. All these people, like, oh my goodness, they're gonna sell the bonds. We'll be left holding it at the bag. We're going to end up holding a wet bag, and the interest rate's going to go through the roof. Dude, I used to believe that. I did. I used to believe that myself. Not even that long ago, 2009. I believed it. I'll never forget. I was doing a seminar in New Jersey, of all places, right outside of East Rutherford. It was a town over there. I'll never forget. This cranky guy. Good, because me and my man Rich Shaga. Rich, a great guy. Magnolia Wealth Strategies out of Louisiana. Tell him Josh sent you. I don't get paid from it. He's a good friend of mine. I love Rich. Good guy. Good Catholic, West Pointer. Don't hold that against him. Because he went to West Point, you do have to slow down your talking. They don't quite get it when they graduate West Point. You just got to, just slow down so it can go in that head of those guys at West Point. Anyway, so we always had debates in our seminars because we did them all over the place. Saratoga Springs, we did one, as a matter of fact. There's a guy here in Saratoga Springs. And we'd always debate about inflation and deflation. He was always on deflation. I was always on inflation. Generally speaking, I got the best of him, but he was able to convince me to look deeper into the deflation possibility of what's happening in the future. And I've come to agree with that model 100%. Anyway, the point being is what happened was, so we're sitting there doing a seminar in East Rutherford, New Jersey or something like that. I'll never forget. And some cranky guy, a Coast Guard guy. And generally Coast Guard guys aren't cranky. They're generally just, nice guys, just chilling. And this guy's like, he was like, rah, 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 rah. I was like, dude, what do you got something to say there, bud? He's like, we own most of our own bonds. We don't have to worry so much about China and Japan selling our bonds. I was like, and I said, huh, is that true? And I said, I didn't know that. So I was like, yeah, well, okay, well, it might be something to look into, but I'll never forget. And sure enough, he's right. I said, damn, you're right, dude. Anyway, it's interesting. That's why doing seminars, by the way, is such a wonderful thing because people ask you questions or make content or make comments. You're like, oh, I never thought about it like that. It's good. It's good. You can all look at the Fed. You find out how they're figuring out velocity of money. Just look at it. You can look at it. So the guy says our velocity of money figures total or average per dollar. If the average is then doubling the money supply, I have half velocity for the same amount of. Just go to the Federal Reserve Board and find that out, man. Denise says we have many military in our fam, but one died while in service. Union. All right. So I want to point something else too, because this kind of pissed me off. Guys, when I did my video, there is no such thing as a happy Memorial Day. Guy said, dude, just relax and honor the fallen. I said, the best way to honor the fallen, fool, is not to have any more fallen. No, I'm not saying about Denise. I'm just saying it's not a happy Memorial Day. It's not a happy Memorial Day. There's nothing happy about Memorial Day. All right. Happy Veterans Day is fine, but not happy Memorial Day. And by the way, Memorial Day is not Veterans Day. Veterans Day is me. I'm not Memorial Day. It's not. I cannot stress this enough. Memorial Day is a solemn occasion for men, by the vast majority of men who died in battle, so that we should never have fought. And I'm just picking on you, Rex, because I just happen to see this as I'm talking about it. No such thing as a happy Memorial Day. Memorial Day is freaking sick. Now, not Memorial Day to remember those who literally gave their lives, a lot of them against their own accord, to fight some freaking god-awful foreign country for whatever the hell we were doing, to support the Rockefellers. Freaking, telling you, man, once you go down the road of looking into this stuff, you can't go back. And you see how evil the Rockefeller institution was, Rockefeller Foundation, the Rockefellers, David Rockefeller, never mind the John and all these guys previous to him, Ford Foundation. This is why people say, oh, you're not a right winger if you think we should raise taxes. Get rid of all charitable deductions right now. Ford Foundation, Rockefeller Foundation, all these foundations are freaking up to no good. They're evil. They all need to pay to the United States as opposed to sending money all over the world where they get tax-free. It's freaking crazy. Tax the nonprofits, tax the institutions that have nonprofits, tax the endowments, 100%. 100%. I'm not saying tax like 100%. I'm just saying tax like you would a regular corporation. It's such a freaking scam, man. If the Republicans were smart, and they're not, I get it, because Republicans are there trying to make money. Democrats want power and control because the Democrats come from money. The Republicans usually are middle-class people. A lot of them are small business owners, but they want to get more money. The Democrats already have it. The Republicans didn't. So the Republicans get in office to get rich. The Democrats get in office because they're already rich to get freaking power. They want power. If the Republicans were smart, they say, we're going after these freaking foundations because foundations are evil, man. Evil. It's crazy. They need to be stopped. No other way around that. Ford Foundation, Rockefeller Foundation, freaking the Tides Foundation. I think Glenn Beck used, I don't like Glenn Beck that much, but I think he used to talk a lot about that. Freaking things are evil. Anyway, the point being was when you start seeing how bad the wars are fought to protect big oil on behalf of the Rockefellers, and then on top of that, what did Rockefellers end up doing too? Oh, they get involved in big pharma. You can't help but it's freaking sick. Sick. We're in a sick society. 100%. Yeah. So which, I don't know what your circumstances are, but I own the Vanguard Dividend Growth Fund. Yeah, Dividend Growth Fund. It's a very aggressive fund. It only has 40 stocks, so just be advised, man. I mean, don't come back to me and say, oh my goodness, you should not. If I invest in it, you should not inherently. If I had 100K sitting in a credit union savings account, would you recommend investing in the markets or 58 2 years from retirement or both teachers? I wouldn't. Law, legalize plunder. We don't need to read books from me. Oh boy. That's all right, Rex. Don't take it wrong. You paid $10, so you get, you can get that one. It's all right. It's all right. How dare you help your oldest son as opposed to watching this? You're wrong. Wrong. What I'm saying. Too many young men died fighting politicians' war. Has no one remembered what World War I was about to start with? World War I. What the hell? Psalm, whatever it's called. We're not, see, this is the issue. We're not depending on other countries. They're depending on us more than we are. The problem is the empire cannot last. And we are an empire, my friends. I mean, the 40 billion to Ukraine was just, again, another part and parcel of the empire that we have. It can't last. It's going to collapse. I don't know when, where, or how. And that doesn't mean you're doomsday. It just means at the end of the day, all empires just get destroyed. What is it, like 400 to 500 years on average, something like that? It's going to collapse. The divine providence that we had in this country, we sacrificed. And if I could find, let me see if I can't find this book, because you guys really should read this. It's probably in the other room. I got books everywhere. I'm a book hoard. It's sad. It's called the anti-library that my man Nassim Nicholas Taleb calls it, the anti-library, where every book you read, you end up buying like 5 more. I end up buying like 20 more. Anyway, Southern Reconstruction by Philip Leigh, Leigh. It's back. Anyway, he talks about the corruption of the Grant administration, the railroads and all that stuff. Damn. because I have a bunch of quotes in there. But anyway, it's a fantastic read, and it's sad because it's men and women fought and died in the Civil War, and they were rewarded with corporations essentially taking the railroads taking over, and the teapot scandal and all that stuff is sad. And don't forget, just because the young men died, what do they leave behind? A lot of wife and children left without anyone to protect them. So think about it. If you want to control over society, what's the best way to get and create control and then keep it? Is to have your young men dying off and have your women reliant on what? On the government. It's just that simple, man. Your young men die off at some freaking godforsaken war. There's no one there to challenge the authority. The women say, I got to raise my kids. I'll do whatever it takes, man, to make sure I got food on the table to raise my kids. And then it's just that simple. It's just that simple. The best way to ensure compliance is to have the young men dead. What you think the government has any incentive to keep like young black kids from killing themselves? No, they don't. None at all. Why do you think they're so? The whole thing is just so freaking evil. I mean, literally, young black kids kill themselves every day, all the time. By far and away, the biggest source of victims that there are. Nothing comes close. Government doesn't care because that's less young men that can stand up and challenge the authority. It's just that simple, man. Oh, we're going to focus on Uvalde. Okay, well, freaking, I was reading in Philadelphia the other day, 4 kids got shot. I don't think they died going to prom. Here in Atlanta's happened. We all know this. Everyone knows it. And no one cares. No one cares because the narrative is we don't want young men. That's just a fact. That's not the narrative. That's the obvious thing. Young men are the problem to contend with. And we want control, and we're going to make sure that there's less and less young men. Why do you think they're so big on pushing this male, hyper masculinity and stuff? They don't want men role models. They want weak. What's that guy's name for the Miami Heat? Dwayne Wade. They want people like that. They want Will Smith. They want Dwayne Wade. I mean, never mind just a plethora of white guys too. It's crazy. You all know this, man. You all know this. They don't want men being out there because men are the challenge to authority. Because we have all this testosterone running through our bodies. Why do you think it's okay to pretend that you're something, if you know what I'm saying, that you're not, even though you got a package down there? Why do you think the vast majority of these switchers, these fluid people, go from the male to the other thing? It's so freaking, there's such a war on men, a war on boys. Why do you think they want abortion too, by the way? Because it gets men to say, hey, I can go have sex. And if I get my girlfriend pregnant, I just tell her to get an abortion. So freaking, it's evil, man. Oh, dude. Fraudulent loans and PPP. Are you crazy? No way. Fraudulent Medicare? No way. It's nothing fraudulent. I don't know, Denise. I bet 90% of lawyers though, freaking scumbags. Sorry. I'm just pissed off. The whole thing about sorry. Try not to be so negative. Yeah, 100%. And so here's my man, Memorial Day. Now, I don't think they got KIA, but Memorial Day is to remember those who have fallen. And that could be anybody, not just someone who's KIA, but someone who got injured, someone who fought a battle, that saw things they should never have seen. Young men in particular, especially if they're drafted. Interesting. So China desired to have cash over balanced trade is what caused their problems with the West in the Opium Wars. They would only take silver, so the West needed something to sell the balanced trade. All right. I completely agree, man. I'm 100% with my man Taco. Borrow all the time from your 401k. We can't really borrow all the time from it. Pay yourself back with interest and having 50K sitting away. 100%. I think that's not a bad move at all. Yeah, look, the Russians are winning. Everybody knows this. I better be careful what I say, because if you don't say you're for the clown there in Ukraine, that means you're Putin's stooge. But the Russians are winning. Everybody, anyone who pays attention knows this. The fact that the media is now allowing the narrative to change a little bit. Washington Post apparently wrote a story that the Ukrainians are on their heels. Ukrainians, even that gun into CNBC or some MSNBC, some clown show. But apparently now it's okay to check, kind of like the Wuhan lab. At some point, someone rings a bell, we can challenge the Wuhan lab conspiracy theory. We can say, yeah, maybe there's something to it. Same thing with the Ukrainians they're killing everybody. Well, it turns out they're not. They're on their heels, and Putin's going to win this. It's not even debatable, man. Now, what does that do for Russia? I don't know. Frankly, I literally don't care. I don't care. It's one of those things. It's like it has nothing to do with us, but it does have something to do with us. You know why? Oh, because Sniffy Joe and Lindsey Graham and John McCain and all these clowns were in Ukraine raping that country for their gains. That's the same thing they did when Boris Yeltsin was in Russia. The previous generations did the same thing. They raped Russia for freaking money, and then now they raped Ukraine for money. And it is in our interest because we don't want that getting out. Not that the media ever publicized it anyway. Don't forget Trump, Paul Manafort, same thing. Not Tony Podesta. Yeah, Tony Podesta, same thing. All these guys, same damn thing, man. They raped Ukraine. They raped Russia for money. They raped Haiti, the freaking scumbags. Mark Warner, freaking scumbags. This is what we do, man. It's evil stuff. And yet that's what it's evil stuff. I don't want any part of it. I love America. I hate our governance, though. I despise it. But I love America. And American citizens are great. Someone's saying, the race war is coming. I said, you freaking idiot, dude. You ever just go outside and talk to people? You just ever go outside? There's no race war. There's clowns out there. Some people are doing crazy hip-hop videos. They're trying to be tough guys. I get all that. There's no race war. Vast majority of people in the entire world, they just want to get along, to live their lives and raise their families. Idiots, man. Drives me up the wall. There's a race war coming. It's like, who lives like this? Oh, be prepared. There's a race war. Ooh. Yeah, the last war that's keeping us free. None of them. None of them. All right. Indiana legislator overrode their idiot governor veto on their law not allowing boys and girls when he was. He was at Davos. Yep. He was at Davos. Deborah Fisher, if memory serves, from Nebraska, was at Davos. I'm surprised that she was too. Remember, what's his name? The eye patch guy was at Davos a couple years ago. I'm not sure if he's there. He's a young global leader. Crenshaw, clown. If they're at Davos, they're clowns. All there is to it. Someone else was at Davos. Was it Ted Cruz? I can't remember, but I don't think it was him. But there's another guy who was at Davos. Yeah, 100%. Seems like the world be jumping to buy U.S. bonds. I completely agree. What I'm saying. All right, let's see what else we got here. 1 second. What's the score, Lee? Who? The Heat? They're up by 10 in the first quarter. All right, cool. Another Bruce. Come here. You come up here. Come on. Everyone wants to say hello. Come here. There we go. I mean, the happiness of World War I ending should never been there to begin with. Like, I'm not saying you should walk around being mad or angry. I mean, by all means, smile. I'm just saying the way to honor people is not to have more people to be honored. A Sniffy Joe done any recent sniffing lately. Not that we've seen, that's for sure. One is food insecurity. This is such a clown show, and they say that. Provide for your own children. No, I don't. First, I don't buy for 2 seconds food insecurity thing. But I agree with your sentiment. Provide for our own kids as opposed to Ukraine. I agree with that. We'd like to see a live from the garden and an update. The Wisconsin Memorial Day weekends, like a traditional time to start planting. Yeah, I've been planting for going back to the middle of March, man. 100%. Yeah, I've interviewed a couple of people who retired in Mexico. Seems like it's all right. Not for me. Not for me. I like Mexico. I love Mexican people. I like America. America, baby. Yeah, exactly. What better way to give Russia 40 billion? You see the Babylon Bee thing? It said it's kind of funny. The meme said, to get the legislatures to protect children in schools. What they say? We're going to pretend we're going to what they say? We're going to make it like it's January 6th or something like that. What do they say? No, we're going to have to get the government to protect the children in school. We're going to put a facade like we're the Capitol building. I'm blown away, but it's funny. Ooh, someone not digging me? Who's Sam G? All right, Denise, appreciate you. Still no Pablo merch. Ooh, I got Pablo merch. Is there a benefit with dividend funds? Wouldn't a VTI just have its dividends reinvested, have a larger principal amount to withdraw from? Yeah, absolutely, 100%. VTI is, it's got 4,500 stocks in there, and they're gonna have a good amount that have dividends, 100%. Sammy G. All right. Let's see here. Just going through the comments, my friends. Toxic masculinity. Yep. I freaking such a clown show. Imagine saying toxic femininity or whatever it's called. Like you think they'd give you 2 seconds. All right. I work in finance and deal with retirement accounts. It's sort of puzzling. A little people who are affluent don't need money, have 401k loans outstanding. I think there's some tax benefits to that. I had thought about. I haven't done a video on that for a long time. But pulling out your money tax free and letting it grow to avoid having RMDs on that money. But no, it's like estate planning. Don't forget, it's not just the size of your estate that's the issue right now. It's the growth of the estate as well. And that's the same thing with that $50,000 in a 401k. It's not just this $50,000 right now, but the growth on that. So if it grows at 7% a year, 20 years from now, that'll be $200,000, and you're gonna have RMDs on that $200,000. Probably the most inopportune time. If you're able to get that out of your 401k and pay back the loan over 5 years with after-tax money, that $50,000, if it grows, obviously you have some income taxes to pay on it. Not much if it's an index fund. You have a little bit of dividends, but no capital gains. That puppy could be worth a hell of a lot of money. I'd say $200,000, same thing, but it's tax favorable. I can say tax free. It could kind of be. Certainly is that step up basis. But the point being is you're like, man, I got $200,000 over here. All I have to pay taxes on is the dividends I get. Or if I do sell something, I got to pay long-term capital gain. Hell of a lot better than the freaking 401k distribution taxes ordinary income. Anyway, the point being is I think there's some tax benefits of doing pulling money out of it for, like the guy said, take $50,000, put it in a side account and let that sit there. I wouldn't use it in a side account, just let it in cash. I'd want to do something with it, but I get what he's saying. I think there's some benefits of 401k. A lot of people. Yeah, I'm going for the Rangers over the Carolina Hurricanes. Carolina can kiss my big fat behind. Edmonton and Colorado. Gotta go for Colorado, man. Gotta go for Colorado. Anyway, I think there's a lot of benefits of taking money out of a 401k. I really do. Yeah. Whoa. George Soros stated that Ukraine's some money. Whoa, damn, dude. That's nuts. That's crazy. Soros? Yeah. We're heading for a planet burned to a cinder. Jeez, man. Come on. Oy. Come on. My man James says you better move to spend some time in Mexico before just move there. A credit freeze, bank freeze is coming. A major bank is going to fail. if the market keeps tanking, S&P 500 is down, what, 16%? Come on, man. Credit unions are greater. Huh. You really think NCUA... you really think that National Credit Union Association Administration is better stable than FDIC? Do we really think this? Let's think this through now. Think this through. NCUA is just okay. Look, I got credit unions. The bulk of my bank accounts are at member-owned banks, USA. That's all I got. I got Navy Federal, Penn Fed, and USA. Penn Fed is not a USA is not a credit union. It's a member company. Member-owned, it's a fraternal. It's a member-owned company. It is for profit though. Credit unions, Navy Federal and Penn Fed, but Navy Federal is by far and away the biggest credit union out there. By far, nothing comes close. But I'm going to tell you, if you think NCUA is more secure than FDIC, I think you need to think again for sure. There are non-NCU. Okay, so who backs them? FDIC. State charter credit. Okay, well, if that, hey, by all means, man. But the idea that because you get higher interest rates because they don't pay tax, it's completely not fair. I can't believe I'm actually siding with the big banks, but the facts are credit unions, when they serve their purpose to serve the Mennonite community, that was one thing, because the underserved couldn't get service. So Mennonites established a credit union. I get that. But now that the credit unions can lend to businesses, my business checking account is through Navy Federal Credit Union. It doesn't make any sense. Now, the big banks in this stage don't care, but the community banks do. You need community banks, man. You know, the Bank of America, Wells Fargo, they could care less. The community banks, though, I mean, with Second Bank and Trust of, Shenandoah Valley, I mean, all these guys, they're competing against credit unions, and yet the credit unions are tax-free. It's crazy. If they're tax-free, that means they can offer better rates. It's nuts. Do I think the Republicans will make the estate exemption permanent in 2025, at least indexed to inflation? It is indexed to inflation, is it not? Yes, it is. It is indexed to inflation. I don't think the Republicans should do anything on it. It's fine right now. It gets portable. Was it 11 million per person, something like that? Yeah. Well, I mean, what more do you want, man? It is. I mean, come on. It is indexed to inflation. It's 22 million between you and your spouse. It's portable. So if your spouse dies first, you don't need what's called a Q-tip anymore. You just say she didn't take, but Charlotte died first. I'm using her unused exemption. It's portable. I mean, that works for me. I'm very comfortable with this current estate tax laws. So I go with Fidelity, Schwab, or Fisher. I'll go with Schwab. All right. With a massive transfer of wealth, I doubt Congress will cut us taxpayer any break going forward for many years. What kind of breaks were we talking about? Credit unions and smaller banks are just, I completely disagree with that, Joe. Credit unions, there's tons of small credit unions out there that are hurting for certain. That's just a fact. That's just a fact. I'm just telling you. Trust me, I have some, I'll stop there. The 22 million is set to expire. Well, it is indexed for inflation. So when's it set to expire? 2026. My credit union isn't federal. It has better rates, much less fees for sure. Yeah, well, because it's being subsidized. I don't have a qualm with that. Just credit unions are dealing in places that they shouldn't have gone into, man. Why? All right, Liberty 1776 certainly is not a happy camper. This guy, the Republicans will have to raise our taxes. Why? Do I ever use any? Yes, Institute for Creation Research. Yes, I do. So the ICR, and I do use the ICR app. They send me. I donate to them, so they send me a little booklet every quarter. But I use the ICR app. I'll try. I got to find it here. And that will get every day. They have a little reading from the Bible, that in a Bible study that you can follow. Oh boy. Let me guess, Liberty 1776. Rick Scott wants to tax your Medicare and your Social Security. Let me guess, that's what you're going to say. You're going to say that, right? That Rick Scott wants to tax your your Social Security. Right, so let's look at ICR, Institute for Creation Research. There we go. And we got here Days of Praise right there. Right. So every day you go on here and you just read this little Days of Praise from the ICR. And I like it. Good stuff. All right. No, they're not going to. I mean, I know what's his name? Larson wanted to change that. I think at some point that will be changed. It'll be indexed for calculation for taxable Social Security. I mean, I would think that seems like a slam dunk. Actually, I think what they're going to do is going to make Social Security a little bit more favorable to people on the lower end. Which again, if I were Republicans, I'd be joining this. But I wouldn't make it favorable to people on the lowest end. I'd make it favorable to people on the second bend point, the 32% bend point. Literally, what I'd do is, all right, you got 32%, we're going to increase your bend point to 40% or something like that. All right. That's what I want to do. That's what I think. But anyway, they're going to index it to inflation. But remember, the tax on Social Security helps prop up Social Security, believe it or not. So, don't just sit there and think that the people who run Social Security don't recognize that if they index Social Security taxation, that's going to help. It's going to hurt Social Security's is solvency without question. All right. Well, I can't stand the big banks. Hell, freaking Brian Moynihan over at Bank of America and kiss my big fat behind. Crazy. I look, I'm not here to defend big banks. I just think at the end of the day, the credit unions have an unfair competition advantage against smaller banks, community banks. And I like community banks. We all need community banks, that's for sure. But, again, being a member of a credit union, the biggest one by far, Navy Federal, nothing comes close. And a smaller one, Penn Fed, I like credit unions. I do. I just don't think they should be involved in businesses. That's not what their charter was. Their charter was to help the underserved communities in rural areas and things like that. The Mennonite community in the Shenandoah Valley. It's just Social Security is not being cut, my friends. No way. Not cut Social Security. What is a cabal? All right, we're run by a globalist group of people. Who are these group of people? The Davos crowd. I think they're actually people above the Davos crowd that runs things. But I mean, come on. This really isn't rocket science anymore. It's funny because it used to be back before COVID. To say that made you crazy, man. Now I think Brian Moynihan online too. Now the things we can say without being considered a conspiracy theorist anymore is good. We can challenge the efficacy of a certain jabba jabba. We can challenge that. We can challenge the fact that there's a cabal. Now, whether or not they run truly everything, that's up to you to look at. I actually happened, after I got done reading about the House of Rockefeller by Morris Beale in 1953, he had written that book. As I recognize it's what it is. Don't forget, someone's saying, 6 companies. I saw this video. It's pretty interesting. 6 companies basically own, what was it? It was like, I forgot what it was, but this guy was saying it's like 6 companies basically own all the entertainment, all the delivery of entertainment, all the news. It's crazy, man. Crazy. Where would I put 100K right now? I don't know. I don't have 100K, so I got nothing to say on that, man. Sorry. If I had 100K, I'd pay down my mortgage by 100K. I think you're missing my point. And I agree with that. China owns Hollywood. Isn't it funny? Hollywood is so pro LGBTQ ABC that the minute there's a movie that goes to China, they snip all that. Isn't that crazy? You missed my point, Joe. The credit union was never intended to serve business entities. It was never intended to do that. And now they are. And they shouldn't be like that. The credit union was really never intended to have floor plan financing for auto dealerships. And now they do that. They're encroaching not on the big bank stuff, because the big banks don't care about freaking dealer financing and floor plan financing and small business. They don't care. They care about the big stuff, the investment banking, all that insanity, the worldwide domination. The credit unions, though, used to basically be there to serve as a savings entity for underserved communities, and now they're encroaching on that. So community banks are getting it both ways. They have to, and I'm telling you, it's not right. It's not right. They shouldn't be able to do that. And it's an unfair advantage over community banks because they don't pay tax. Community credit unions pay no tax. Community banks do. So inherently, community banks have one hand tied behind their back. It's just that simple. It's not right. And on top of that, if you look at NCUA versus FDIC, you recognize that NCUA is a lot more lenient, at least it used to be, not that long ago, relative to all the regulations that a community bank had to go through. I don't know if that's still the case now, but I would bet they probably are. Yeah. All right. I think I can go watch the basketball game, my friends. I can get on out of here. So appreciate y'all being here. Go check out some game. Hopefully the Celtics pull it out. My son is a big Celtics fan. It's fun getting back into sports. I got out of sports for a long time because of Black Lives Matter stuff. The NBA still, look, I was watching the game the other day and they said, oh, Colin Kaepernick should be in the NFL right now. It's like, it's just, I don't know. Well, why, if you enjoy, so this is what I've come to learn over the last couple of years. If I'm enjoying something, why let other people rob me of my enjoyment, if that makes sense? And that's just, idiots are out there all the time. No ball insurance. No bail insurance? I don't know what that means. No bail insurance? No bail-ins? Oh, bail-ins of credit. Oh, dude, I completely agree there. The big banks. Look, Liberty, you and I are on the same side here, brother. I'm telling you right now. Freaking the bank. That's what I call the banksters. The banksters kiss my big fat behind. You got to bring back. I can't believe I'm going to say this, but we got to bring back the get rid of Graham Bliley Leach and bring back Stiegel Glassman. Yeah, I cannot believe I can't say this. Get rid of Graham Bliley Leach and bring back Glass-Steagall. That's what it was. Glass-Steagall. That's what it was. Separate the banks from investments. All right, I'm going to get out of here. Glass-Steagall, that's what it is right there, man. Yep, exactly. All right, brothers. All right, sisters. Appreciate y'all being here. No hard feelings, anybody. Liberty. You and I probably 95% in alignment on everything. Rex, okay to say happy more of this. It's all good, man. All good. Pulverizer, I gotta still listen to some Pink Floyd. I really don't want to, but I think I need to after hearing some of their lyrics like that. That's pretty righteous stuff. So I'm in Georgia. All right, I'm gonna get out of here. See you guys. Have a good one.